I'm Danny, that witch next door, and you're listening to That Witch Podcast. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a very special episode here at That Witch Podcast. I'm Danny. I'm That Witch Next Door, your host, your guide, your mentor, and instructor in all things magic, witchcraft, and astrology. And with me today, I have such a special guest, Andrea of Dream Life Connection. Andrea, please say hello.
Hello. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Yay. I'm so excited to have you here. I actually met Andrea through the podcast. So this is so exciting. Listener to guest. Look at that. I'm really, really excited. Andrea, today, as everyone is already very excitedly seen in the show title today, can you tell us a little bit about what you do and why you're here today?
Yes. So first of all, I identify as a dreamer, a traveler, and I like to call myself a dream life coach because I'm a certified life coach, but I'm also helping people with their dreams. So I help people learn how to remember their dreams, interpret their dreams, and learn about themselves and their subconscious mind by connecting with their dreams.
Oh my God, I love that. And honestly, it's so special and so unique because the coaching industry is huge right now.
Mm-hmm.
And y'all can feel that way however you want to feel about that. I think that there's in every industry upsides and downsides. But, Andrea, just like I told you a little bit before we started recording today, I have a very close personal relationship with dreams and the dream realm. Mm-hmm. I find so much benefit there. And I see so many people sweeping this really significant work under the rug. And so as soon as I met you and found someone that uses that as a main approach, not even, right, like a little side thing. Because like I've even had therapists kind of have me do some dream work. I've had people pepper it in for me, but I haven't really ever met anyone like you that really leads with the dream quality. And I love that so, so much. This is actually very interesting for our listeners. Will you tell everybody what your big three are, by the way?
So my big three are Taurus, and Leo.
Yes. And this is so fascinating to me.
I have no idea what that means.
That's okay. The first time you said that to me, your page really radiates a lot of that Taurus energy. You're very rooted and connected in nature. That was very apparent right off the bat. But one thing I found so fascinating is that, so we're all ruled by the planet that rules our rising sign. Okay. So that's for everybody. All right. So you can go look at your rising sign, whatever planet rules that, that is your overall chart ruler. And this is where we find some of the most rejuvenation and recharging, okay, is when we seek out and bond with our chart ruler. Andrea is a Leo rising just like I am. And that means that we are ruled by the sun. And I find it so fascinating that this sun-ruled baby does her work at night. Like, I just think that's
oh my gosh,
so cool.
Okay, that's really cool.
I think it's really cool. So we get, and I have a Pisces moon. So I do a lot of work in the dream realm and in the nighttime as well. But being this sun-ruled baby, you would be shocked how even just small doses of the sun or sun magic or sun energy will like refill your life. Do you kind of already resonate with that or experience that?
And well, what we were talking about earlier was, so I'm a nomad, I'm a traveler, and I'm living in Portugal right now. And it's like, I don't exactly know where I'm going to settle, but something that I do know is I need to be somewhere sunny. And I grew up in Spokane, Washington, and then I lived in Seattle for 13 years. And now I'm like, I don't think I can live in Seattle again because there's not enough sunlight. And yeah, I need to be somewhere hopefully tropical, but definitely has some sun. Yeah.
Yeah, take that with you. That's good balancing energy for you, for someone that does a lot of work in the night, to do that warm, light sun work as well. I just thought that was beautiful, beautiful. So Andrea, I'm so excited to have you on here today because, as I'm sure so many of you are feeling right now, how many of you come to me about dream stuff? This is so exciting. We love our dream stuff here in the neighborhood. So I think that before we start getting kind of into the hows and stuff, I want to learn a little bit more about you because, like I said, I haven't met anyone that really led with dream at the forefront. I didn't even know there were dream mentors or coaches, like you said. So tell us a little bit about your story, what your relationship was like with dreams when you were growing up and stuff like that. And how did you end up getting into this work?
Yeah. Well, okay. So I feel like a lot of people who have these sort of quote unquote gifts, they've had them since they were a child. And I look at my connection with dream work. And when I was a kid, I honestly, I don't think I had a very vivid dream world. Okay. And so it wasn't something that came super naturally to me. So I grew up, I always say that I kind of had like a normal childhood. I was going along the path, normal life, went to college, got a good job. And I was working at a TV station actually in Seattle. And then something like shook me. And it was when I got dumped out of the blue. Because I've kind of traced back to like what was the pinpoint of when like my spiritual awakening happened. And I think it happened when I got dumped. And it was just like my whole life, it was so shocking that I started looking at life in a different way. And I turned to spiritual books. I started reading a lot more. And I went to this bookshop, and I'll never forget, this book just sort of stood out to me. And it's called The Field Guide to Lucid Dreaming. And I picked it up. And then after reading it, I experienced my first lucid dream. Have you ever had a lucid dream?
Yeah, it took a long time. I'll tell you a little bit about that after you tell me. Yeah, it took a long time, but yes.
I mean, it changed my life. It completely changed my life. And so a lucid dream is when you're aware that you're dreaming and you can control your dream. So in my dream, I'm flying through the clouds of Seattle and I break through, and then it turns into like this Mario world for me. I turn into Princess Peach. I'm flying through these fluffy white clouds. There's a rainbow following me. And after I woke up from that dream, I literally shouted in my apartment. I was like, I flew because it was so real to me. Wow. And then that's when I realized that like there is so much more to this world than we can comprehend. And so I just dove deep into my dreams. I started recording them. I started understanding the symbols in my dream. Basically learning how to interpret my subconscious mind and what it was trying to tell me. So here I am working at the TV station, and I started like realizing that this was not aligned with who I was at the time anymore, because I started, after discovering dream work, I started hiking more. I was traveling. I was doing a lot of solo trips. And then I just kind of looked at my job, and I was working in TV, working in news. And I was like, at the core, my job is to convince people to watch a specific channel. And I was like, this just doesn't feel right to me anymore. So I ended up taking a trip to Bali, and just like so many other people, you go to Bali and like you become enlightened or whatever. And I went back and I quit my job and I sold my car, moved out of my apartment, and I moved back to Bali. And then I've just kind of been a nomad since, living in Asia and now Portugal. And I've started helping other people like create their dream life and understand their subconscious mind and learn about their dreams and learn how to lucid dream, because that is, it's seriously like the coolest experience. And it's so weird. That's one of the coolest things you can do is while you're sleeping.
I know. I totally agree. It's crazy. Oh, yeah. Lucid dreaming. So I'm no pro. In fact, I've kind of, I'm a little rusty is a good way to say it. I've been a little rusty on my dream word. I've been in my grounding the last year, I would say. Very, very, very grounded. In fact, I've probably felt the most blocked from my dreams recently than I ever have, which is not in a horrible way. I feel like I'm getting rest, which is good. But my path to lucid dreaming, I had night terrors when I was a kid. I really struggled with nightmares, and that what was labeled this like overactive imagination. I don't know what the accurate label is for it, but that doesn't seem to quite hit it either. And so I had this very tumultuous relationship with my dreams for most of my life. Most of it, seriously, because when I became a teenager and then young adult in college, those nightmares turned very real, like real based. I dream about the world falling under martial law all the time. I feared like a society collapsing. Like those are these big, big themes that I have. Now, very fun fact about me that I'm excited to ask you about. Not a lot of people know this about me. I dream in repeat settings, like not a big variety. Okay. So usually for a handful of years at a time, I will dream in the same place, different happenings, sometimes different people, but the same place. And I've noticed as I've gone through different chapters or transformations in my life, if I'm facing different themes or whatever, it's mainly the theme or the setting will take a big change. Well, for years, this setting, this is what led me to lucid dreaming or trying to learn how, was I would dream. I was like my subconscious was trying to grab my attention, for lack of a better term. I would have these dreams. I technically would call them flying dreams, but it's not enjoyable, where my body out of my control would be flung up into the sky and then slammed back down to earth. And I never slam and hit the earth all the way, just enough to get that horrible falling feeling over and over and over again, the whole dream. So I got so frustrated after a few months. Oh, it was probably longer than that. And that's when I started a dream journal. I started learning about lucid dreaming because I got frustrated. I was like, I'm controlling this. I'm going to find a way to make this stop. This is so frustrating. And I was able to, and I can still, the cool part is once you really kind of learn, even though I've been rusty, it happened to me a couple of weeks ago. And I still have the ability to at least slow the speed down or stay up in the sky, which I don't adore because I do have a little heights thing as I get older. But that's my relationship with lucid dreaming is I came to it not even in a fun way. It was like, I'm taking control of my dream world. This is ridiculous. I'm not letting it. And so it was actually kind of a cool, empowering thing for me because I've struggled with my dreams since I was a kid because they're so vivid. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Well, I can actually relate because now that I think back when I was a kid, I used to have night terrors as well. I would have sleep paralysis. I don't know if you experienced
I've
this.
Never had that.
Like,
but I know
it is
about
the
it.
worst feeling. It is the worst feeling where you feel like you're waking up and you can't move your body and you're trying to scream. And for me, I always had this like weird, like black cloud kind of hovering over me. And I looked it up. And again, the thing about dreams is like, I can't say with 100% certainty what anything means. It's all theories. Like, it's super frustrating about that, but it's also what I love the most about dream work is like anything is possible. So they say with like sleep paralysis or night terrors, like maybe there's spirits in the room that are trying to communicate with you. And what you were saying about how you would go up and you would slam down, like that could actually have been like astral projection for all we know. Like, and they say that when you come back, there's like the silver cord, you know, if you're, have you ever done astral projection?
I've done guided before, and I've attempted by myself once a long time ago. And it's something that actually this year I've been like, I think that I'm going to start getting back into astral travel. Yeah.
I've never really been able to astral project, but they say that you can do it in lucid dreams. And when you go up, and then that's why so many people have falling dreams, and they like nobody ever lands because you're leaving your body and going to the astral plane. And then when you slam down, you're coming back into your body, allegedly.
Oh my God, this is fascinating. I hadn't thought about it that way with that dream. This is super, super
But I have learned that when I started doing my dream work, I stopped having the night terrors because, again, this is theory. And I love the way that Tibetans look at dream work. It's like dream yoga. They want you to look at everything as a dream, like even reality. Like when you're awake, view it as a dream. And there's a direct link between your dreams and your reality. And so when you're starting to learn the language of your subconscious mind, you're starting to make changes in your reality to make your life better. And then that makes your sleep better and your dreams better. And then it's all like correlated. And that's why I call my business Dream Life Connection, because it's all connected. And we have this, like, there's this misconception that when we go to bed, it's just like lights out, screen is black, 6, 8, 9 hours, but there's a whole world that we can explore. There's so much we can do when we're sleeping. And if we improve our dreams, we can actually improve our lives too.
And we sleep. I apologize, everybody. I don't know the numbers. I've heard this like stat a million times like everybody else, but we spend so much of a percentage of our lives sleep.
It's like a third of our life.
Thank you. And
it's almost
I was like,
25
I know it's
years.
Oh
like,
my gosh.
Think of that.
Doesn't it make sense that this would have some kind of a purpose? Everything about our bodies as humans, right? We're these self-sustaining like little mini ecosystems within this earth. That's this ecosystem within this solar system, right? And so everything has these little purposes, whether it's a challenge you have to overcome or it was a gift you were born with, right? And so I would love to hear from you again, definitely bearing in mind, obviously none of us have the quote unquote right or wrong answers, just you as a person. What is your understanding / theory when it comes to dreams, or what resonates the most with you in what the purpose of our dreams is and how we can use them? This can even really correlate to maybe your mission or your values when it comes to your business.
Yeah. So what resonates with me the most is after keeping track of all of my dreams and doing all this work with my stories in my notebooks from my nighttime dreams, I think that dreams are the language of your subconscious mind. If I could cut it down to one sentence, it's the language of your subconscious mind. And everybody has their own unique language. So if you learn to interpret your dreams, you can understand yourself better. I like to think of it as like your inner compass, or it's the most honest mirror you can have. Because sometimes I'll even wake up from dreams and I'll be like, I know what that means. I know it. I don't want it to mean that, but I know what it means. And I think we can all relate to that. And I think dreams also are really, really good at showing us our blind spots. And it's a form of like shadow work. And I've learned so much about myself, and this, I don't want it to come off as like negative, but I feel like they're so good at pointing out like my flaws and the things that I need to work on. And I think all dreams have a message. And if you start, well, there's a theory about nightmares too. I don't know if you want to like go into nightmares now, but
I still would love to hear the theory. Yeah.
If each dream has a message, I think that nightmares are more memorable. So say you have like a light and fluffy dream and it has some sort of nugget of wisdom or lesson for you, and you wake up and you don't remember it because it's just the cute little dream.
Didn't leave that impression.
Yeah. But it gets more and more and more intense, and we're more likely to remember our nightmares. So then if you're able to kind of dissect your nightmare, then you can figure out like, what is this dream trying to tell me? So there's so many different levels that you can go into.
I love that. Dream work is 1 trillion% shadow work, everybody. I love that you said language of our subconscious, that we each have our own unique language, because this is how I feel about and how I explain astrology. And it's funny because before Andrea and I recorded, I had sent her a really special dream that I had that I wanted to share with her. And I loved how you said, you know, you feel so special when someone shares a dream with you because it comes from your subconscious. In a way, it's like people sharing the deepest or these deepest parts of themselves. Yeah. And I feel that way about the chart, right? Like the chart doesn't lie. There's no, like, it's similar in your dreams where like the dream doesn't lie. Like you might be missing the message. You might avoid the dream, but the dream is there. Like, you know what I mean? But what happened still happened. And that's how astrology feels for me. Like I can look at the chart and it's like somebody, which is why I take consent in astrology so seriously. You get this little peer inside someone's soul, and that's freaking powerful. There's so much information there. Now, before we get into nightmare stuff, because I do want to ask you, I have a quick question that came to me off the cuff. Do you know anything about the Akashic records? Have you heard of that?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So I'm in the spiritual community. Before. Amazing. Okay. So in the spiritual community, this is something that we come across relatively frequently. I mean, I think that you need to make sure someone's legit and ethical, obviously, because there's still a bunch of people that will try to say, I read the Akashic. My point, always use discernment, but it is relatively common in our industry here, and it's not super common outside of the spiritual community. So a couple things. What's your understanding of the Akashic records? And would you tell us, you know, whatever you feel comfortable about your experience there?
Oh yeah, I would love to share my experience. So I had my Akashic records reading done in Chiang Mai, Thailand, a couple years ago, actually. And I went in super skeptical. My boyfriend did it, and that was like his lucid dream for him. Like when I had my lucid dream, it changed my life. When my boyfriend had his Akashic record reading, that was like, he was not into spirituality at all. And now he's like reading books about quantum physics and all this stuff because of the Akashic record reading. But I went in like, I don't know. But his name is Neil, and he started doing my reading, and he knew that from my understanding what Akashic records are, it's like, you know, think of it as like the universal book, and you can access it. And forgive me if I have any of this incorrect. I have very limited knowledge of it, but it's basically like he can tell you about all of your past lives. And so I went in and he told me that I'm a writer, and that I'm good with kids and that I'm going to eventually write children's books. And at the time I was like, holy crap, that's like actually something I want to do. And then he told me that my past life was that I was a writer and I was obsessed with like gore and like murders. And I wrote Penny Dreadfuls. I don't know. I didn't know what Penny.
So cool. I'm a huge horror head. Sorry, everybody.
I didn't even know what they were. I was like, what's a Penny Dreadful? But it's like those like graphic horror, anonymous stories that you purchase for a penny. And so I need to get it illustrated, but I've written a children's book actually with a friend called Penny Wonderful, because I was like,
wow,
I feel like I'm the opposite of that now. Like in my past life, I was like this super like negative, not negative, that comes out wrong, but like into the darkness. And now I feel like I'm obsessed with like the light, like everything I love is like white and bright and happy. And so I actually did like write a children's book called Penny Wonderful. So who knows if that'll ever get published.
That's really cool though. So you're right on the money. So Akashic records, and my understanding as well, and I don't read the records. I'm not trained or gifted in that. Ashley though, our love, Ashley Michelle of Starseed Shadows around here, everybody. She does. Go hit up Ashley for that. But from my understanding, it's this it houses all the info. It may as well be a peek into the direct clockwork of your entire being, let alone soul. Like everywhere your soul's been, everywhere it's going to go, what you've thought, everything. And so this is where a lot of the people I've talked to that have had Akashic record readings will have things told to them that nobody else knows but them. And it's because all of this, everything is contained in our records. We just have to either find someone or we relearn how to access them. I don't know directly the connection between the Akashic records and the dream realm and the astral plane. I do know that they're all connected though.
Yeah.
The exact roadmap, no. I myself am also exploring that right now too, which I absolutely love. But I do know that they're all connected. So if any of those terms resonate for any of you, they all do kind of end up connecting at different little points. Now, a couple of things. Before I ask you about nightmares and how you help people through that and interpret that, what kind of work do you do? So as this certified life coach with this really big dream approach, what kind of clients do you work with? What kind of challenges do you help them through and stuff? What kind of work do you do with people?
I work with people who kind of remind me of me when I was going through that phase of like, I like to say waking up from the matrix, where you're getting that little taste of like, what am I actually like? Why are we here? What are we doing? What am I doing? What is my purpose? So I like to combine the dream world and also like the real, like I don't want to even say real world because I think it's all real, but your waking life and, you know, the buzzwords manifesting and intuition. I work deeply with all of that. I work a lot with journals and helping people tap into their intuition. And so I have all sorts of programs. I've done all sorts of different themes. There's like the 4 elements themes if you want to work on being more grounded or working with, you know, the fire elements. But there's always like what's woven through everything is dream work, because that's such an underutilized tool that's so powerful. And like we were talking before, I really do believe that dream work is going to be the next like manifesting. I feel like manifesting is such a popular, I mean, it's wonderful. I love all of that. And I love the topics of intuition and all of that. But dream work, I'm not going to lie, when I have worked with people, when I've read books, when I've gone to like summits and talks about dream work, it's usually like the older generation that's a little bit more into that. I've gone to seminars and stuff, and I'm always like the youngest one. And I just have this like gut feeling that dream work is going to be, it's going to become something. Like it already is something,
kind
but
of like a renaissance.
It's going to get bigger. Yes.
I agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. I agree with what you're saying. And I think what you're also saying is manifesting is a part of a whole. It's one piece of a whole. And I think a lot of people think it's everything. And my friends, that's why we talk about all this stuff on the show. There's so much more that goes into that. Manifesting is the shiny, glittery, pretty sign that kind of allures us into this realm. So it serves its purpose in a lot of ways. Like a lot of us do get into these awakening periods or these resurgence of connecting with our subconscious self or higher selves or our spirituality in general, right? Our life's purpose. I think that we get pulled to that because a lot of times we find ourselves in an undesirable place in life or being undesirable, right? Like thinking undesirable thoughts, doing undesirable things, even though we know we don't like it, but maybe we're doing it to fill X, Y, or Z, whatever. And manifesting attracts us when we're in that place. Because it's like, hey, what if I told you you had control over your life and you didn't have to feel like you were doomed all the time and you could control your own reality? That's great. But once you get there, there's so much work to be done. Yes. There's so much work to be done. And that's where shadow work, dream work, mindfulness work really, really come in. And do your clients experience impatience kind of? I find that a lot of people with mindfulness work hope that we can, well, I've started journaling about my dreams. Why am I not better?
Yeah.
Can you explain a little bit about the timelines and maybe how you help people release that? Because I hate to break it to everybody, but I don't think there's a finish line. I think it's a ongoing.
Yeah, I always like to say it's not like a one and done, like, okay, I had a lucid dream. Okay, life is great. It's not quite like that, but I always do like to also say like time is an illusion. Like, and I was reminded today that like, well, I have dreams constantly that remind me, like there's always reminders in my dream. Go slow. It's okay. Like you don't need to have this
Taurus girl
right now. Yes.
I love that.
Like I have dreams where I'm like standing in line and I want to get to the front. That was actually a big like shadow work category for me, was like my entitlement. I felt entitled all the time and I could see that in my dreams. Like I have so many dreams where I expect things to just like happen for me because I am who I am. And then I worked through that. And anyway, but it just reminds me that go slow. It's okay. And so I don't know if I should share it now or if I can share it later, but I came up with, I call it the dream method.
Okay.
How to mainly remember your dreams, but the M stands for maintain, because it takes time. It's not like an immediate, and that's with dream work and with journaling. Time is a key component because you accrue all the data and then you go back and then I like to do dream audits where you give it a month or two and then you go back and then like I literally have Post-it notes where I write like water. How many dreams did I have about water? And you start picking up on the types of dreams you're having, the symbols that you're having, the people that you're having a lot in your dreams. And then you start piecing it all together. It's kind of like your own little special puzzle that can reveal so much. about you. And then you, again, it's kind of like your inner compass. You can start making changes in your reality based on what your subconscious mind is telling you in your dreams.
Wow.
Did I answer your question? I don't even remember what
I feel like you did. Yes, I do.
I feel like I'm constantly wondering.
So then give us a little peek into people that do struggle with nightmares or night terrors. I find that I love what you said, by the way, and I've never thought about it that way. That if dreams are how our subconscious mind communicates with us, and we're not getting the message, it's going to find a way to get the message through. Number one. So that makes sense. And as humans, we do tend to harp on, focus on, cling to the negative. So it makes sense that our subconscious mind is like, hey, well, you have to understand somehow.
Kick it up a notch.
Right? Exactly. How, though, when with night terrors, those are the ones that are the hardest to face and to analyze and to talk about. I find people get easily triggered by their dreams and stuff. I know that the best way through them is to talk about them because that's my experience. But how do you kind of help people through that?
Well, so this isn't coming from me. This is actually coming from the Tibetans and their practice of dream yoga. And they say that if you are having nightmares or if you're having recurring dreams, the same thing happening over and over, they say you're just a bad listener. You're not listening to your dream. There's a message. There's something in that dream that you haven't processed yet. So they say, process the dream and be free from it and let it go. And okay, well, how do I process it? You know, it's not easier said than done. There's so many different ways that you can process your dreams. First of all, by recording your dreams and tracking them and learning how to interpret them, and then connecting it, figuring out the direct link to your reality and the emotion, figuring out the emotion behind this nightmare and seeing if that emotion is playing at all in your waking life and seeing if there's a connection. Maybe you need to make a change in your reality. And then I also recommend to people to learn how to become lucid because then you can control your dream. And they say, face the villain, you know, that's when you're in the nightmare. And if you become lucid, then you can look at the monster in the face and say, you can't bother me anymore. Or there's also, I love Harry Potter, as you know. I love the scene, you know, where is it the Bogart or Bogart, however you say that, where it's like your biggest fear. And then you imagine it like silly, like a clown, like goofy. So you can do that. That's a pretty common way to process your nightmare. In dream therapy, they say that you can try to speak with the villain or the monster. And you don't have to do this in your sleep. Like you can get into like a meditative state in reality and kind of enter that dream, that nightmare again in a safe space. And they recommend saying, what gift do you have?
Ooh.
You know, what are you trying to
I love that.
What message do you have for me? So it's really empowering. They also say, and I've actually done this before, but you can, again, get into that meditative state, and then you can get into the perspective of the villain, of the monster, and try to figure out what is its motive.
Because it's a part of you.
Yes.
Right? It's coming from within you. Wow, wow, wow. That just unlocked a lot for me. Do you know what that made me think of? I'm going to drop a total Disney reference, but Moana. Have you seen the end of Moana?
Yes.
When Te turns out to be Tafiti the whole entire time. The demon monster ends up being the goddess the entire time. But she was like abused and she was stolen from and unappreciated. And so she had grown this resentful, hard, fiery shell around her. And she became this lava demon. And when Moana realizes who she really is, she can literally see past that barrier, right? And so she sheds all that. I know, I have so much chill. I have so many chills. So when you said that about the monster, what gift do you have for me? I hope y'all feel the powerful power you were just handed with that question. Because I'm serious. That's so... I can think of hardly any good dreams I've had, but right now I could think of a million bad dreams I've had in my life. And I could easily, just like you said, create a safe space for myself to kind of tap back into that same space and face those things. So, oh my God, I love that so much. Now, let me give you this challenge. As we're leading into kind of some of your helpful tips and things like that for people, the first one I have to ask you is, for everyone on here that I know is going, but Danny, I don't remember my dreams. But Danny, I don't remember any of my dreams. My husband does not remember almost any of them. So what are your tips for people like that do still feel really called to this work?
Yes. Okay. My favorite. So this is why I created the I call it the dream method.
Love this.
D stands for desire. Like, I think that is the most important element to remembering your dreams, is like truly, truly wanting to remember them. And I know a lot of people probably do, and maybe they don't, but it does take practice and it does take time. That's why I have M as maintain. You can't give up.
You can't be impatient about dream stuff.
Desire.
You can't.
So be curious about your dreams. Be open to your dreams. You can set an intention before you go to sleep. Do meditations where you're doing affirmations. I will remember my dreams. I care about my dreams, because that's implanting the message, the words into your subconscious mind. That's that's telling you, okay, this matters. I need
They
to
say
know
to do
this.
that for kids. I learned that in parenting. They say that if you can talk to them about I learned this in a potty training book, actually. But if you can remind them, it's for nighttime potty training. If right before they go to sleep, if you can remind them, because when you wake up, you're so scattered, right? So if you can remind them before they go to sleep, like, hey, when you wake up, you just need to do this. You can do this. They say that that's what files into long-term memory. Fascinating.
I love that. Yes. Okay, so D, desire. R is record. This is super, 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 super
Did you
important.
think you were going to get away with that? Because you can't. You gotta record it.
Oh my God, I could write a book on the topic of recording your dreams. So I have a lot of recommendations when it comes to your dream journal. A lot of people will download an app or they'll do voice memos. I tell people, write it down.
Okay.
Write it down with your handwriting, because even my handwriting reveals a lot. When I was going through a hard time, I noticed my when I was recording my dreams, it was like chicken scratch, crappy handwriting. And then the ones that were more ethereal were I took time writing it down. So and also in a dream journal, you can sketch, you can draw. I actually draw my dreams out a lot because yeah, that's really helpful too. I always say get a spiral bound notebook. You want to eliminate as many hurdles as you can. So if you have your journal already open to a blank page with your pen already clicked, I like to get black ink because then you can see it on the white paper. I even sometimes get the little, the little button lights, the click on lights. You can do that. Now, it takes practice. And
because I only write down the bad ones. Do you find a lot of your clients do that? I only record the bad ones. I'm really bad about the true habit of just recording my dreams.
Yes, absolutely. And I cannot stress this enough. You will forget your dreams. It doesn't matter. I mean, with exceptions, but it doesn't matter how amazing you think the dream is. You will forget it. I can't tell you how many times I woke up and I was like, that was the coolest dream I've ever had. There's no way I'm going to forget that. I'll write it down later today. Gone. So what I like to do is as soon as I wake up from a dream, and it's usually in the morning because that's when we're in REM sleep, I like to write down like at least one word that I can remember from the dream. If I don't have the energy to write down the whole dream, I'll just write down one word from it. And that can usually trigger the memory.
So powerful.
So a lot of my dreams, like the top of the page, I just have like random words and then it comes back to me.
Nice. Okay.
And again, it takes practice. It's like my first many dreams were just like one sentence. And I'm like, what is this? This doesn't mean anything.
But you trusted the process.
Yes. And the more you do it, the better you become. Yes, you go deeper and deeper. Okay. D, desire. R, record. E is for examine. So dreaming has a lot to do with your emotions. So if you can't remember specific details about your dream, remember how you feel in the morning. And just by reaching out your hand and writing down even how you feel, which you're not going to forget because it's how you feel in the moment, write that down. And again, that's getting you in the mode of recording in the morning. Then A is absorb. So I say absorb to mean like talk about it. Read about it, learn about it. Don't just like wake up, write down your dream and move on with your day. And this is actually a really key element for lucid dreaming is that it's called checking or checks, where you check certain things throughout your day. And it feels really silly. Like in your dreams, your hands don't look normal.
Okay.
Like every time I've gotten lucid, you check your hands. Because like every time I've done it, my hands get like really distorted or they've been like covered in food or they've turned into like mirrors. It's so bizarre.
Wow.
But that is the trigger to your subconscious mind. That is the trigger saying, I'm in my dream. So if you go throughout your day looking at your hands saying, am I dreaming? And it feels really silly because you're like, obviously I'm not, I'm awake. But that's setting the habit.
Okay.
And that's what prompted my first lucid dream because I looked at my hands and I was like, holy crap, I'm in my dream. What do I do? What do I do?
Whoa.
Like you have to stay calm and grounded too. Like that's really, a lot of people wake up because they're so excited, but just like try to calm yourself and like, you just know, like for me, I call it the narrator, like the voice, the narrator just tells me what to do and I know what to do. And ever since I've been dating my boyfriend, like he's gotten really into it too. And he is always getting lucid. He's probably better than I am now, but he's constantly turning into Spider-Man and he'll like fly through the city. So cool.
Amazing.
So DREA and then M is maintain. Like try different methods and just don't give up. Like even if you go a month, I actually went a full year where I wasn't dreaming because I had a noisy neighbor living above me. So I didn't dream for like a year or I didn't remember my dreams.
Right.
But just don't give up. Keep going.
I love this. First of all, we are all about real magic for real life, like practical advice around here. And I love that because we're talking about the dream realm, which feels very not earth-based, right? But those are such earth-based practical tips. Leave it to the Taurus. I love that. So this is really, really, really helpful. I think that one of the biggest, if not kind of the biggest hurdle is most people stop trying. I think that there's some kind of time expectation here is a lot of what I'm hearing from you. A lot of what I've experienced, a lot of what I've seen, there's this time expectation that I should be able to do this in this certain amount of time, or I should be able to do this by now or whatever. And we talk about this on the show relatively frequently. Time is not linear. Time is not what we have been told that it is. Time exists in some ways, in the way that we've created, because we create our own reality, right? We've created this linear timeline. It still exists, but it's also so much more than that. And so when you can release, as best you can, release yourself from the linear timeline and the expectations that come from that, I think you can lean into this practice a lot better. I really do. Because in the scheme of things, taking a year or two to practice this sounds long, and it's not. That's in the scheme of life. That's seriously,
I was gonna say,
really not that long at all.
Yeah.
But I think that this has had you've had some really good tips in here, because I even resonate with a lot of these. In the areas where I give up or I stop, I love the tip about the spiral notebook, open, ready with the pen. I'm a big preparer before bed. I became that way when I was older. I had to learn to be that way. But like, I put out my gym clothes the night before. I get the coffee ready. I make you know what I mean? I've had to learn for my poor executive functioning, I have to learn to work with my brain in the morning. So I love the idea of having it ready to go like that. I'm definitely going to go buy a new dream journal right after this. Yeah, I love this.
It's the best. It's the best. Oh, spiral bound. And I also try to, I'm getting to like the nitty gritty, but like try to find a notebook that has like
lines,
like darker lines, darker lines, because then you can see it when it's
a little bit dark.
Obviously dark.
Okay.
I know it's like really silly, but I got it down to like a science. And I even sometimes when I was sleeping in a bed alone, like I would make sure that if I like sleep on my stomach or whatever, I would have like my nightstand on the right so that I could literally just.
Oh my gosh, how funny.
It's like, that's how, but I the more movement you have, or if you have to, open your pen, you're more likely to forget your dream. So I try.
Do you have a hard time going back to sleep?
Not anymore. I can fall asleep pretty quickly. Yeah.
Do you have is that just something you get used to, or is kind of the tip maybe try not to like sit all the way up, turn the light all the way on? Like maybe that's part of why it's good to make it easy on yourself, so you don't have to wake all the way up in case it is like 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's why I kind of got in the practice of just writing down a word. I wasn't doing that right away. I was waking up fully and writing it down. But then the more and more I was doing it, the more I was practicing and getting in the flow of it, I was able to. And sometimes I didn't even have the energy to write it down on my notebook. I would actually just imagine myself writing it, like in my mind, like writing just one word.
Wow.
The visualization somehow helped me. And
writing one word is helpful. That's very helpful.
Yeah. Some of them I do forget. Like there are quite a few pages in my journal that's like, I forgot. But that's
okay.
Also really important is to like be easy on yourself. Give yourself grace. It's okay. Like we sleep again almost 25 years of our life. Like if you don't remember your dream tonight, you're going to get another chance. And I have found naps have amazing dreams. Like
true.
And I've become lucid so many times in my during my naps, or if I wake up in the morning and then I fall back asleep, and it's usually when I'm more like there's not a big to-do list. So that's just my pattern though.
This has just been, everyone, how fun has this been? This has been amazing. So, Andrea, number one, there's going to be people who need more information. They need to know more about you. They're going to want to work with you. Please tell us, how can we find, follow, and support you and learn more with you?
Yes. Dream Life Connection. Find me on Instagram, I'm starting to dabble in TikTok a little bit. Well, I don't know. But Instagram is definitely like my preferred platform. I also have a website, dreamlifeconnection.com. And I say this on my website, I say this on my Instagram, but like just send me a message with any questions or any dreams. I love talking to people about their dreams. Like, in opposite of you, when I was younger, I hated hearing about people's dreams. I was like, because I believed in like the scientific explanation that it was just like random images.
Okay.
I was like, it doesn't matter. It's totally random. Why are you telling me about your dream? But now that I understand them and I see the value in them and that they are a window into someone's soul, in my opinion, it's like, when people share a dream with me, it's like, it's such an honor. It's such an honor. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but I do want to share a tip that I can't stress enough through all of my interactions with people who are way better dreamers than I am, like, are way more advanced. All the mentors that I've had, the courses I've done, the books I've read, don't rely on your dream dictionary. I know a lot of people will have a dream and they want to turn to a dream dictionary and say, tell me what this means. But dreams are your language. They're your soul speaking to you, and you have your own language. And I've done that before where I've woken up from a dream and I was like, I feel like I know what that means, but no. And I turned to the dictionary to find an answer that like would appease my ego mind, but deep down I knew. And so it's try to learn the language yourself, and learn the symbols and what they mean to you.
Do you have a couple of favorite books you would recommend to anyone that is excited and wants to get started? What your favorites would be?
100% my favorite. The one that got me started was The Field Guide to Lucid Dreaming.
Okay.
That's a really well done book where it's simple, but it's really powerful. I also love Robert Moss. He has a ton of different books about dreams and just kind of magic in general. My favorite book by him, it's not specifically about dreams, but his book is, my favorite one is called Sidewalk Oracles. And it's about how to bring like magic into your reality. Oh, it's so good. But he's a really good dream mentor. So that's what I would probably recommend if you're getting interested.
We have lots of book lovers around here. It's probably my top requested information around here. Do you have another book you could recommend? Yes. So amazing. And everyone, she's not just saying it. Andrea's amazing. She wants you to reach out to her. This is, if you have been called to this work, or you feel like your dreams are calling you, maybe like my subconscious was ripping me up and down in the sky over and over again. Listen. Are your listening ears open? Follow, take a chance, send a DM, because think about all of the beautiful messages that are coming through. But really, for me, one of the best things about DreamWorks is this strengthening of connection to self and collective. I feel spiritually connected and yet so human and so grounded when I work in the dream realm. That's why I love that you explained your business name, Dream Life Connection, because I could not resonate more with that wholeness and that oneness, that it's not about dream realm and real realm, it's dream realm and waking realm, and all of that is life. I love that.
My first business name that I came up with actually was called Reala Dreamers. Like I wanted to make up my own word. But then I started telling it to people and they all gave me this look like, huh, what? I'm like, maybe I should change it. So I changed it to Dream Life Connection.
I love that. I really love that. I can feel it. This is going to be a really big jumping off point for a lot of our listeners. This is really, really cool. The work you do is very, very special, Andrea. Truly. This is cool.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you so much. My little Hufflepuff heart is so happy.
Yay. From one Potterhead to another, to all of you. I love you. Thank you so much for joining. Do not forget to reach out with any questions, any thoughts, any things like that. Thank you. We love you. Stay safe, have fun, and stay magical out there. Hey, magical human. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of That Witch podcast. If you want to support the show, the best way to do that is to share with a friend or give a shout out on your social media. You can also leave a 5-star rating and review on both Apple and Spotify. And if you can't get enough of all of our witchy magical content here in the neighborhood, you definitely want to make sure you're subscribed to my email newsletter, That Witch Gazette. It's a really fun, really convenient one-stop shop to stay up to date on all of the news and happenings here in our neighborhood. If you have any questions, suggestions, ideas for the show, or if you'd like to sponsor an episode, you can send me a message at thatwitchnextdoor.com/conjurethatwitch. Thank you so much. I'll see y'all next time.